In this H.I.C.E advice interview with Laurie from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, I go over the 3 questions with her, which will help anybody who is looking to make their own contact, get their own personal proof that the UFO phenomenon is real, and have multiple eyewitness sightings. This is a nice follow-up to the Robert Bingham interview because Robert had a near-death experience, which is what kind of opened up to this whole ability, and it might seem intimidating to people. I'm just starting out, how can I do this? I don't want to have to die and come back to be able to do this, and that's not true at all. Anybody can do this, anybody with an open heart, and Laurie's an excellent example of somebody who just had a keen interest, formed a group, went out, and achieved success relatively quickly. So at the time of the interview, she had been doing contact work for a couple of years, and she's got a lot of really great advice to share, so I hope you enjoy the interview. Okay, so thank you so much, Laurie, for joining me today for this interview. Everyone, Laurie has been making contact for the last few years over in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And my first question for you is, what's my first question again? My first question is, what advice would you have to give to anybody who is new to this or is beginning?
I would say patience, because not everybody can sit comfortably in meditation, because that's sort of how you have to start. You have to sort of start with the idea, or like not even an idea, just to sit, and you start by sitting and allowing yourself just to be open, which is difficult if you're new to just the idea of sitting and being quiet and still. So that's the advice. Like, just be patient, give it time. I recommend, like, we started with downloading Dr. Greer's app. He has like a guided meditation. So we started with that. But I teach meditation, so like I would take the group through. Sometimes we'd have more than the 3 of us. We'd have like 5 or 6 people, and I would guide us through the meditation. But it's really just like persistence, and in the beginning, just try to take the initiative to meet like once a month or every other weekend or however often you can get together, just to start and sort of build up that rapport, build up that comfort with your group and the people you're with. If you're doing it solo, it can be a little defeating, I find. I like the group collective, because it just feels like there's a camaraderie, you're in it together. So I recommend starting with a group of open-minded people, then you can share your experiences. Sometimes you can have like the same experience, like if you do any remote viewing, like, everybody in the group focuses on the moon, and then afterwards you kind of debrief and talk about what you saw in your mind, and sometimes things are similar. So there you go. Then there's like a collective link. So, okay, now we're on to something. So it's kind of just keep going. Nothing ever happens overnight. You just got to keep practicing. So.
Yeah, so perseverance and patience, essentially.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. And I like your kind of emphasis or your resonance with working in a group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very powerful. 2 or more people, it's amazing. I know this from being a yoga teacher and going through many, many hours of practice as a student and as a teacher, and just seeing the difference between one-on-one versus this collective, where you can feel the energy rise and you can see the group kind of like resonate with everything that's happening. So yeah, a lot can be said when there's more than one body in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have read that from different sources, that when 2 or more gather together, it can be very powerful.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, that's great advice. Thank you so much. So my second question is, what would a general experience be, or what would be, say, like your average experience of contact?
Okay, so what my group and I have experienced, we haven't, I've watched Dr. Greer, many of his talks, and how he talks about sort of things coming out of nowhere, like lights and figures, and I've never had that. We've often seen like fireflies, but it's like fireflies in the middle of winter, because being Canada, it's cold, and 6 months of the year we've got snow on the ground, like here in Ottawa. Yeah, oftentimes it'll be sort of like things you can't explain, like you'll see lights, or you'll get this sense of like the room is closing in around you, like an encapsulation feeling. That's sort of been the experience with the group. Getting back to like when we go into meditation, we have collectively done like remote viewing. So I will lead us in through the meditation, and my partner Michael, he brings singing bowls in because sound has a lot of effect on the mind, on the vibration. Sound is so much. I teach sound workshops. So, but it does a lot. And I find that in combination with the singing bowl, the tones, and with this guided meditation, and then we sit quietly and we kind of just focus on where our last thought was anchored. There seems to be like this collective vision, like it's not all the time, but a lot of the time we have the same sort of scenery in our mind of where we are. So if we're allowing ourselves to move up into space and, like I said, focus on the moon or focus on, I don't know, a galaxy or wherever we are, it's often very similar. So we might not see the exact same object or whatever, but we're kind of in the same place. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're kind of like aligning each other.
Yeah,
you're aligning everyone in the group to each other.
Yes.
And with the use of sound. And I've been learning a little bit about sound recently, and yeah, it's incredible how powerful it is. Is there anything that you want to share about that and that learning and teaching that you do?
Yeah, okay, well, again, back to the Stephen Greer app, there's the C-SETI tones from the crop circle tones. Sound has a way of piercing, like, in my world, from what I experience, it has a way of piercing the veil. So it's like it moves through energy. So if you think of like an ultrasound, so we do ultrasound to like see a baby, we do ultrasound to look for an organ, and we do ultrasound to heal like inflamed tissue. So there's something that can be said about sound. Like ultrasound's a really high frequency, quick rate sound, but just the different tones of the singing bowls resonate in different parts of your body. And from my yoga world, different sounds correlate to the chakras, the energy centers in the body, which our organs are aligned to. So when you're using tones, you're actually releasing blockages in parts of the body where you're holding on to stuff you don't need. And in doing that, it sort of allows the channel of energy to flow more clearly and fluidly through your system, so that when you're sitting in meditation and there's like a singing bowl that really resonates with you, that you just feel really good with, because sometimes some sounds make you feel like you want to punch someone.
Yes.
Or make you want to fall asleep, because different sounds are agitating and different sounds are relaxing. When you find that sound that works best for you, or like if you're in a group and someone's running off a bowl, you're stuck with that sound. But if you just sort of allow yourself to focus on the sound, it takes all the chatter out of your mind. The body can kind of synchronize to the sound, and stuff starts to let go. So then as a group, you sort of just go along with that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a great description. I love the idea of sound piercing the veil.
Yeah. Well, the veil is, our mind is our biggest obstacle, right? Like if you read any scriptures, like the Vedics, any Buddha stuff, like anything, it's our mind, our monkey mind.
Yes, exactly. Oh, very cool. So if somebody wanted to use sound in a C5, what you said that you and Michael use singing bowls. Is there anything else that someone could do?
I don't know. Well, on the app, there's like, it has like the SETI tone. I don't know if you have that app, but it's got like the crop circle tones, which are different frequencies, different speeds of vibration, different like tones. That's very powerful. So for example, I've been by myself here in Ottawa. My partner's up north. So, and my other group partner is in California. I was out walking my dogs the other night, and I thought, what the hell, I'm going to put it on. It was a clear night. It was freezing cold. I'm not going to sit out and meditate in the freezing cold. But I just put it on and threw it in my pocket. So it's doing its like high and low vibration. And within about a minute, I was kind of in my own thoughts, ignoring it. All of a sudden, everything around me became calm. And the dogs were, I had my laser pointer, the dogs were playing in the snowy field with the laser pointer, but I felt, it was that feeling like we get in meditation, like a bubble came around me.
Mm-hmm.
Like something came in, or something. It was that feeling. So, those have been my experiences by myself with this kind of energy work. Now, if I'm with more than myself, it tends to amplify like the frequency, right? Because there's more of us to plug into. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, very cool. So now when you talk about that bubble encapsulating you, do you almost always go outside to do contact, or are you sometimes inside? You said something like the room was closing in on me. I was just wondering,
Yeah.
where do you
So,
do it?
yeah, I've had like a lot of stuff happen over the last year. My basement used to be my energy room, so I'm also a Reiki practitioner. So I'd have my clients come down there and I do work on them. So that now it's my daughter's bedroom. She's a teenager. She wanted it, so I gave it to her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were doing a lot of energy work down there, and it would feel, there was one particular corner, the northwest corner of the room, that felt like that's where things would come in, but that's where the window is in the basement. And all of us could kind of feel it. So depending on whose back was turned to that corner, it'd be like, oh, something's coming behind me. Like you could just feel something. So we never actually saw anything down there. But it was like all of us could feel like we're in a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
That sense.
Interesting. Okay.
Some of the energy, like some of the energy work I have done, and it's not just in the basement, like even if I'm at someone's house, I've often had the image of the alien greys, as crazy as that sound. And I remember the first time I saw them, I was at my client's head, and they were at the feet. And I saw one of them with looked like a clipboard, like taking notes. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm losing my mind. Like, cause I see things, but this was like, normally I see like shapes or like figures or like kind of like angel looking things, but this was like a Hollywood movie at this person's feet. And I'm like, what am I seeing?
Wow.
So I consulted, a close friend of mine who, she's a psychic. She works for the RCMP on occasion to help solve cold cases and stuff. She's really good. And I told her, I said, am I losing my mind? And she said to me, she goes, I've heard this before, and it's usually when you're working on someone that has mental health issues, the grays come in to help you calibrate their energy. So I thought, okay, well, I always have one foot in skeptic world. I'm like, I don't know about that. But it was like, this is interesting because, we kind of sit in these types of meditation looking for ETs. And then here I am just doing Reiki, like an energy modality, and it's right in front of me. So,
wow,
yeah.
That's fascinating. And so when you saw that gray at the end of that person's feet, you actually literally saw it with your physical eyes, or was it your scent, like your sort of like third eye?
It was my what was it, clairvoyance. Like whenever I see things, I see it through here, but it's like it's through my eyes, like a mental image. But my eyes are open, and I'm like I can't, like an imprint or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
And that's interesting about the clipboard because in the last interview that I did, Robert Brigham was talking about a clipboard. I'm not sure if that was in the interview or after we were talking. But anyways, yes, about an ET that came by with a clipboard and was just like checking things. So that's an interesting theme.
Mm-hmm. Well, from what I understand is like when, like I said, like my friend said, because she encounters all kinds of stuff. She said that when you see them, like the grays with the clipboard, they're taking notes and they're observing, like you're on their list of like, this is a person of interest or something.
Yeah.
Like, great.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I have a question about the fireflies. So
yes.
Is that outside? Is that inside?
That was outside. Our first experience with that was actually the three of us went away for the weekend. My mom lives up in the Laurentian Mountains on the Quebec side. It's beautiful up there. It's where Mont Tremblant is. So the ski hills aren't as big as out in Calgary, but they're still pretty big.
Yeah.
And she has a huge farmer's field by her house, like right beside her house. So we walked over and set up a tarp. It was not this year, but 2017 November. And so there was like maybe half an inch of snow on the ground. Like you could still see, grass coming through. And we bundled up our sleeping bags, pillows, snowsuits, everything. And the three of us sat out there, and Michael brought his bowl and was running it off. And we actually there was wolves. They were singing with the bowl. It was the creepiest. It was really cool. It was like, crap, the wolves are close.
Yeah. Very close.
But once things settled and we got into this kind of like groove, we were all seeing these bursts of light around us.
Oh,
and,
okay.
It was like 10 o'clock at night. You don't see fireflies in Canada in November, ever. Like, it just doesn't it was cold. It was like -5. Like, they're out when it's August and it's hot and dry, right?
Okay.
So, we were seeing that all night. And we had an electromagnetic meter, electromagnetic one that it goes woo when it's near an EMF field.
Yeah.
And that didn't go off then, but we continued. Like, we took a break after sitting there for a while. About 1 a.m, we went back out and it started going off. The EMF reader started going off, but it was only going off in one part. We were on my mom's property at this point. We're sitting in lawn chairs around each other, and it would only go off in one part. So we're thinking, okay, there's actually a satellite station near my mom's place, like one mountain hill over. So I'm wondering if it was like, my logic mind's like, oh, it's probably a signal pinging in this spot, but it was that one spot. And the next day, the three of us were just going for a walk to kind of like debrief and talk about our experience. And we, not realizing this is where we found the satellite station, we didn't know it was there. We're walking down this road, and I looked at Michael and I said, something just went through me. And as soon as I said that, the EMF reader started going off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, whoa, this is cool. So I backed up, stepped through it again. Same thing happened.
Oh, wow.
And then to come to find out, up and around the corner, like half a kilometer up the road, there's a satellite station. So I'm thinking either I walked over a bunch of cables with a high electromagnetic field,
okay. Yeah.
and you could feel it,
right,
or like signals were pinging from that point, or there's something there. I don't know.
Wow.
I have no idea.
Wow, that's fascinating.
We didn't see anything in the sky, but we did all experience stuff around us, and then I felt stuff going through me, which is usually how I feel it. So. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's neat. And that's really interesting about the fireflies, and they were flashing off around you. So we actually don't have fireflies out in Calgary, like never. So
really,
yeah. So what did it look like when you say it looked like fireflies? Like, were they buzzing around? Were they in?
No, they were just flashing like random places all around us.
So sort of
but like not within our circle, but outside of us.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't actually see, like, it wasn't actually. It was like fireflies.
Yeah,
but you didn't actually get that close enough to see whether or not it was like anomalous.
So it's coming into that bubble, and it was like outside of that bubble. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And it seemed close and small.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like fireflies.
Wow.
Like if you walk through a field and you kind of see them, and you're like waiting to see the next one, and the next one goes off, and then you know what I mean? It was like that.
Yeah. Wow. I gotta come to Ottawa so I can see fireflies. I've always wanted to see them. Okay. Wow, that's fascinating. So I wonder what sort of category that would fall into. Like, sometimes people say that probes will come into the group or come close to the group. So possibly that could have been a probe, like just a very small like information collector, or like just coming to say hi thing.
Yeah. Or we were blowing up molecules, man, and having little nuclear explosions.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so my third question is basically just about your story, how you came to this, why you do this. The last few years, any outstanding experiences, like that firefly one was pretty cool, but if there's anything else you want to share.
There's been a few. So how I came to this, actually I stumbled on Dr. Greer's Netflix documentary, I think, 2015, whenever it first came out on Netflix. And I watched it with my mom, and we were both like, whoa, this is so cool. And I have an anthropology background before I became a nurse, so I do kind of like try to stay logical about things, even though I'm very woohoo, but I can do both.
Yep, you're
So I was
together.
like, when they were showing that little alien looking being that they dissected, I'm like, ancient aliens, because I majored in Egyptology, and ancient Middle East stuff was one of my thing. So um, I've read a couple of books that have talked about ancient aliens, but then my professors were like, that's BS. And so you don't know what to believe. So I'm watching this going, I don't know what I believe. But he had such a compelling argument. So I did some more research on him, and then I came across you can find people in your area. So I thought, what the hell? I'll just put my name in. And so I did get an email response. I don't know how much longer. Some guy in Ottawa was wanting to meet up, but we could never get together. And then it was actually in the late summer of 2017. And I have a lot of friends that are clairvoyant. So one of my other clairvoyant friends was over for dinner, and she looked at me and she said, "You're a starseed." And I was like, "What is a starseed? Like, what is that?" Like, it was just out of the blue, like a Tourette's moment. Like, "You're a starseed." I was like, "What?" And so she explained to me. She said, "You're not from here. You're from up there." And I was like, "Okay, I think you're up there right now." Anyways, she hates it when I do that. So anyways, we had dinner, we kept talking a little bit, and she went home. And that night, no word of a lie, my friend Megan emailed me. I didn't know her then, but she's my friend now. Said, "Hey, I saw your name on the C-SETI group, whatever. I'm coming to Ottawa. I'm leaving California. Did you want to meet?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." So we ended up meeting like a week later, and that's sort of how it started. And then she actually introduced me to Michael, my boyfriend. She came over. Was coming over for our first like official meeting, aside from like going out for coffee. And she's like, "Oh, by the way, I invited this guy over." I was like, "Oh, okay, okay." Just a random person, sure. I just met her, so I was, yeah. Anyways, he showed up, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. I love this. This is so great. So this is how you met your partners, through this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, what else is there to that question?
Oh yeah, okay. So particularly, why do you do this? Is there a reason?
Oh yeah.
Are you just curious, interested, or is there something deeper?
I think at first I was curious, but there's some kind of there's a familiarity to it. I've kind of always been out there. Like I'm not a normal person, you know. Like I don't like a Monday to Friday job, and I always have a different outlook on things. I guess a lot of us do. We just don't talk about it. So, so why I do it, I don't know. It feels really natural. I mean, I've practiced meditation most of my adult life. I started when I was about 15, and to sit in a group with people, it feels really good to do that. And then to push the boundaries of what you can do with meditation. You know, you can sit there in meditation and constantly remind your mind that, you know, it's there, but you just keep moving through the thoughts. Or you can sit in meditation with a group and use that collective to, you know, do remote viewing or create this, like, I guess, like a subconscious reality together. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of why that's what I like about it. There's this camaraderie and this vision, and you know, we all try to be conscious of our actions and how we are in the world. Like the three of us are very aware, and I think people who are drawn to the C-SETI are those kinds of people. You know, like Megan's a vegetarian. She's like Miss Organic. I'm not. I have teenagers. It's really hard to. I wish I just had the energy. I'm cooking different meals for everybody. But yeah, but I mean, I'm in healthcare, and I teach healing, and I teach all of this stuff, and it's kind of, I don't know. I find that people who are on that path of making the world a better place are drawn to this. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
yep, it sure does.
We have had a couple of people join in on the group, and there's some people that have joined us that they act a little, I don't want to say crazy, it's not politically correct, but it's almost like they feel like if they join this, they're going to be watched by like the CIA or something. It's like, I don't know if you've had that experience, but you meet all kinds of people in this, and some people are just chill, like, yeah, let's sit in meditation and connect with the ETs, man. And other people are like, they're going to watch us. We have to like turn our phones off. And I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like on the fence about that. I think that definitely anybody that does this kind of stuff might be get placed on a list. I don't know. Yeah. Or something. But like, but now there's thousands of people that do this all over the world. And so like, at what point does an alphabet agency care that much to keep track of all of those people?
I think they got better things to do, honestly, and I don't really care.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like the group collective experience. I mean, that's why I teach meditation. When I teach yoga nidra, which is I don't know if you know what that is. It's like passive meditation. Like I take people through a meditation while they're lying on their mat. So it's and you can feel the vibration with that practice. So I don't know. I'm drawn to it because it kind of it encompasses a lot of what I do. And if I get to meet like ET on the way, sure.
Yeah, very cool.
Beam me up, Scotty. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It is true, though. It does seem to be the people that are drawn to it and who do have success with it seem to be of a certain either spiritual nature or at least like a very open, loving nature. If they're like on the more scientific side, so yeah, there does seem to be like a level of ability that is correlated with like how kind of evolved really a human is. Yeah. Cool. Are there any other standout experiences that you guys have had that you feel like sharing?
Yeah. Well, aside from the fireflies, when the times Michael and I have gotten together, Megan's out of the picture now. She's moved down to Cali for a while. We have had. I remember one night we did a meditation. We did like a remote viewing on the moon. So that was sort of like, let's try this. And he and I both saw a structure like not on the dark side, but on the edge. I think I saw, this was last year. I saw a tall building and he saw something similar, but we were kind of off a little bit in the shape and the size, but we saw almost the exact same thing, which was really cool. And then we went outside, and we were lying down watching the sky. And maybe after about 20 minutes of just kind of getting back into the zone and settling, it almost looked like there was like we were talking about, it sounds cuckoo, but it looked like a galactic war above us. So we were seeing flashes of light. Mm-hmm. So you have your stars, you see a satellite, you see a plane, but it was like those flashes of light again.
Oh, okay. And this was like with your physical eyes?
Yes, okay. Yes. And when we had the firefly experience, that was all three of us. It was with our physical eyes. So I said to Mike, and I'm like, it looks like they're firing, like somebody's firing up there in space. And he said, well, maybe there is something going on up there. We just don't know. But we were just watching this, and it was so, it occurred so often. It wasn't like random, like a satellite. You know, have you ever watched a satellite in the sky at night? When the satellite rotates and it loses the sun, it goes dark. Yeah. It wasn't like that. It was literally flashes of light, and it was like all over. So you think you see something, and then another one would go off. So. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we call those flash bulbs. I don't even know if we've never even considered the possibility of some kind of like action happening up there in space. But we assume that they're like just like saying hi to us or communicating with us directly.
Yeah. Oh, so you've seen them too. Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's the first time I've seen that. So because everything I've seen is usually around, like it's on the ground. It's that feeling of something coming in or just around. So
that's so cool. That's so
Yeah.
great that you have that ability to feel energy and to be able to, like, basically your like extra senses are very developed.
Oh yes, since I was a child.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Awesome.
was born this way.
Oh, that's so great. Very cool. I am envious.
I'll share it happily. Sometimes I want it. It's just like, I don't want to feel this right now.
I bet, hey? Like going into a room or getting energy off of a person or something, sometimes that must be kind of frustrating, or like.
It works in my job because like I said, I'm a palliative care nurse, so I'm good at doing the psychology around what I have to talk about because I get a feel for the room, like who's anxious, who's on board with grandma's dying, who's gonna freak out, whatever. So yeah.
Oh, interesting. It's good. It's good for your job.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Any sort of last comments or thoughts or anything that you felt like sharing or needed to express, or?
Just keep doing it. Like all practices, practice makes perfect. The what is it? The magic is in the mundane. So sitting in meditation can be like, oh, and we all have our days. You just got to do it, and you just got to stick to it, and it pays off. Like
Yeah.
it pays off tremendously.
Awesome. That's a great saying. The magic is in the mundane. That's so true.
Like doing your dishes, washing your hair, cleaning your house. Like there's magic in the mundane. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laurie. I'm so happy that we did this and that you could share your experiences with us. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
If you would like to have some instructions helping you to make contact, you can go to the ET Contact Hub, where you can find resources from all over the world describing how to make contact. And you can find the one that resonates with you the best. Our Calgary CE5 group and Mark Koprowski from CE5 Tokyo have put together a book which you can find there for free, as well you can buy the hard copy on Amazon too. So everything you can get through that portal. And I hope that this inspires you to get out there and get your own personal proof that the UFO phenomenon is real and deserves some investigation.